Hey, yeah. So I wanted to say a little bit more about how the mind works and how the mind and the intellect and the brain are related. Well, on a simple level, your brain is a computer. It's a computer that is full of programs, and you have been downloading those programs since you were conceived, and you continue to download programs that adjust in their form until around the 7th year of your life, okay? So what happens is we're not born as blank slates. We are picking up information all the time as we're growing in the womb. And we're primarily picking up information through our mother's perception of the world. So we receive that information through the hormone response that our mother emits as a result of what she sees, and all her senses pick up. So if mum was excessively fearful, anxious, worried, depressed in her pregnancy, you will have downloaded a lot of programs around reasons to be anxious, depressed, worried, fearful. If your mum was very happy in her pregnancy and generally was easygoing and wasn't too worried about too much, then that's going to have affected you in a way that you are going to have more easygoing, relaxed nervous system, because this is all related to shaping your nervous system, your fight, flight, freeze response versus your rest and repair oxytocin-based response. So these hormones, we're constantly balancing the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system in relation to how we view the world. And how we view the world is initially the result of our mother's perception of the world. She's like a periscope, okay? So then when we're born into the world, depending on our birth experience, depending on whether it was experienced as traumatic, whether there was any repair work done, how we were treated in the first month and first 3 months of life, and particularly the first year, when the brain is processing information faster than any known computer to man these days, okay? So we are processing information so quickly in the first year. It's a real use or lose game. So anything that's reinforced time and again, we keep. Anything that we only experience a couple of times, unless it was very deeply traumatic and we didn't get an opportunity to heal it, is not something we carry forward. Now, there's more here, which is to do with the different brainwave frequencies that we emit. And when we're children, we are in a very highly programmable state. We don't yet have our rational mind kicking in going, oh, mum's joking. Oh, dad wasn't being serious. He was being sarcastic. Oh, that's just a TV program. We're just picking information up all the time, and we're not making any conscious sense of it. But our brains, the computer, is actually trying to make sense of the world through what we're picking up and trying to create patterns and processes, and to say, oh, this leads to this and this leads to this. Before you know it, you have a mind map, your own mind map of the world and your family as normal. Like whatever you've grown up around in your immediate environment, you are going to consider the norm. And by the time we're around 8 years of age, our brainwaves change. So the type of brainwaves that we're emitting change, and then we're more capable of thinking rationally, of questioning things, of examining critically things as we get older and older. However, those initial programs have already been set. They are the baseline, they are the motherboard, they are the programs that we're going to keep reinforcing as truth, because that's how the ego works, okay? The ego is designed to keep you safe. It's designed to keep the programs that you have inherited as the programs that you will believe are the truth of life. And that is to help you, actually. In the long term, the idea was that what you downloaded from your parents would actually save your life. So if your parents ran from tigers, you learnt to run from tigers without questioning it. You knew they were dangerous because your mother, your father ran, etc., right? If you learnt to be quiet at night because they were quiet at night, again, this is reinforcing the same thing. But you know that there's no qualification for being a parent. You don't have to get a license. You don't have to do anything other than conceive a baby. And there are plenty of very emotionally immature and traumatized adults having babies. They're not in healthy relationships. They don't have a very healthy view of the world. They may be utterly full of fear and anxiety themselves, and they've never had an opportunity to heal any of that before they've actually had their babies. Couple this with the fact that they may have had troubled pregnancies, miscarriages, traumatic births before you even came into the world, and the womb holds all of those memories, the cervix holds all of those memories, the birth canal holds all of those memories. And you'll see that when you come into the world, you've already got a flavour, a song, a sense of what your story is all about, but it's not actually your story. You haven't chosen it. You've been downloaded it. So the question is, do you like the downloads you've received? Do you like the programs you've received? Because if you don't, and they're not serving you, you can actually change them. This goes back to my original point about the mind and the brain. So when you start to look at your body beyond your physical body and you start to become aware of the subtle layers of your physical being or your energetic being, you'll know there's an emotional body, which is also known as the pain body. It absorbs emotions, and unless we process those emotions, we hold them in our energy field and then in our cellular memory, and we either put on weight or we get sick. Okay, because that is what happens in these long-term chronic illnesses that we have, whether it's anxiety, depression, heart troubles, diabetes. We'll find our coping mechanisms, and they will affect our physical being, including high blood pressure and lots of other things too. And the mental body is actually a layer out from the emotional body, and this is all of the thought forms, the beliefs, the habits that we have around our consciousness exist there. But what's really interesting is that life experience is incredibly subjective. If you had 10 people all looking at the same thing or going through the same experience, they would describe it differently. And here you have an opportunity to consider the fact that you have got the opportunity to change how you view the world by changing your conditioning, by changing your view of the world through examining the beliefs that don't actually serve you anymore, because they hold you in fear, they hold you in terror, they hold you in victim consciousness. Now, thought forms are scalar waves. They're everywhere, okay? They're just everywhere. They're going left, right and centre, and you're picking up on things a bit like if you imagine stars in the sky, okay? Everything you've ever experienced, everything you've ever thought is like little stars in the sky, and through your conditioning you connect the dots and you make patterns and you say, oh, this is the way life is. But there are infinite stars in the sky, as you know. You've just chosen to focus on certain ones and to say that your life story relates to those stars and the way they're formed and connected to each other. So if it's not what you want, you can change it. It is going to take you some time to change it. You need to reprogram your subconscious, and there are different ways of doing that. The way that I use is to do with rebirthing, a method of breath and self-hypnosis, and moving into a theta wave brain state to be able to change your subconscious programming. And I do this through the work of Susanna Kennedy, because I trained with her as an emotional mental detox coach. Really love her process. It works very well, and it teaches you to move from being a victim of circumstance to co-creating your reality. So that's one side, reprogramming your subconscious. The other side is that you need to get your conscious mind and your subconscious aligned. So your consciousness is what you are aware of. It's where you're directing your attention. Your subconscious is all the programs in your computer, aka your brain, that then get kicked in. They get woken up according to what you're perceiving, and they will insist that whatever you're seeing at the moment somehow fits the program. That's what the ego will do. Your higher self will come in and keep giving you opportunities to change your programming, but you are the master of your own misery or the master of your own joy, and it's down to whether or not you're prepared to accept that things really can change. Because if you are prepared to accept it, you will find ways to do it, and it is your conscious will and your effort that will help you to keep going through the tough times until you really start to see your life shift. So if your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are in alignment, things can change well beyond what you could possibly imagine. The things that used to bother you don't bother you anymore. Your head, the way you think, the way you process information changes. You get an upgrade. Instead of seeing through eyes of fear and victimhood, you start seeing opportunities. You start seeing opportunities to grow into being a more loving, compassionate person, to bring opportunities for growth where there would otherwise be opportunities to join others in misery and to keep recreating that misery. So I'm going to ask you if you're a drama queen or a drama king. If you find that you're constantly worried about things, you're constantly anxious, you're constantly triggered by world events to feel fearful. And if you say yes to any one of those three things, then you are ripe for some subconscious reprogramming and to question your beliefs. And that's where I come in. So if you want to know more about the mind, I am really happy to talk ad nauseum about it. But what I want you to understand is that it is not fixed. It is really about your computer and the scalar waves, which are the thought forms. Your brain's the computer. Your mind is basically the field, the energy field that surrounds you. And there's a collective mind, and there's a collective consciousness. So you can choose to cherry pick the things that you want to align with and to no longer pay attention to the things that you want to die off. So it's a bit like going back to that first year of life and the first few years of life of pruning what doesn't serve you, so that the things that really do align with the way you want to see life, empowered, free, loving, compassionate, trusting, authentic, all of these qualities, being able to look at situations and to know that there's always a way round challenges, because life is supporting you to grow in the most wonderful ways, and life wants you to be happy. Life loves you. This is all a truth. It's as true as life is just going to shit on you every way, shape or form. It's really up to you what you are going to align with and give your energy to, because life is subjective, okay? It is subjective. Everything is so subjective. We are all living our own version of reality down here on this planet at the same time. This planet is a school. It is a place to learn that you have more freedom than you realise, and that struggle is a choice. You don't know that while you're struggling and going through struggle until someone puts in front of you the belief and the truth that struggle is a choice. And when you realise that struggle creates opportunities for growth, but you don't have to only grow through struggle, you can grow through joy. You don't have to go through the struggle to joy. It's part of it, but it also doesn't have to be the defining part of it. You can choose to see that everything that you go through is serving you to be the better, greater version of yourself. And what that means to you will change as well. So life becomes infinitely more exciting. You will never be bored again. And you will see that you have so much to offer this planet. Doesn't that sound more inspiring? And how about this idea? I love my life. It's great being me. Just when I think life can't get any better, it does. Can you live that? Do you want to live that? Well, join me. Get in touch. I have a program that will help you, and I've seen it work with so many others. You just have to use it. Namaste.